Good morning, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another edition of Lovin Daily. I'm your host, Jonathan Cilia, joined by my co-host, Timothy Diacono, and here are your headlines for today. Robert Abela asks police to investigate major claims that a minister is linked to a big job, believed to be the HSBC heist. Vince Muscat testifies that Chris Cardona was part of a 2015 plot to assassinate Daphne Caruana Galizia. Malta's national football team is exempted from COVID-19 measures as it prepares for World Cup qualifiers. Maltese priests disappointed with Vatican's same-sex declaration, and Malta's Eurovision entry instantly shoots up to second in the odds. We got a major story to start off with. Tim, do you want to take it away?
Yes, absolutely. So, another big day in court yesterday. Vince Muscat, known as El Cochu, the convicted murderer in the Daphne Caruana Galizia assassination, basically confirmed that two high-profile politicians were involved in the infamous failed heist on the HSBC headquarters in 2010, which they refer to as a big job. Now, he named the first one as Chris Cardona, the former Minister of the Economy, who apparently was set to receive €1 million if the heist was successful, which it wasn't. And he also mentioned a sitting minister. So that means someone who's currently in cabinet as we speak. Now, he didn't mention any names, and the magistrate stopped him from doing so because it was irrelevant to the case in question. However, the word in media circles is quite clear now that this was possibly a reference to Minister Carmelo Abela. In fact, Manuel Delia felt confident enough, plastering his face out, Republica as well. May I remind you that a few months ago when the story started heating up a bit, Net actually sent one of its journalists to doorstep Carmelo Abela to ask him if he condemns this allegation, and Carmelo Abela was quite uncomfortable. He hasn't made a public statement yet. The Prime Minister has asked the police commissioner to give him a name, but meanwhile the nation waits, knowing that it's possible, still possible, only that a sitting minister might actually have been involved in an alleged robbery and a heist. This was the most, probably the biggest heist in recent Maltese history, right? I know that two ministers might have been involved in it.
You know, that's a shocking claim if it's true. I mean, the idea that now Carmelo Abela might be involved is a big development. And that's not the only development that came out of recent testimony in court. Another major story is, Cochu recounted a bit of a incident that happened in 2014, 2015. So as he was being questioned by lawyer Jason Azzopardi, he spoke about a time when Cardona's associate, lawyer David Gott, came to the infamous potato shed in Marsa. He visited this potato shed with a proposal, and during this proposal he talked to Cochu about Daphne Caruana Galizia, and he even asked Cochu for a lift to Portomazo to discuss Caruana Galizia with Cardona. So that, is a major claim. It implies that Cardona was very well aware of this 2015 plan to assassinate Caruana Galizia. Now, it's important to remember that at the time, Daphne Caruana Galizia had just written a story exposing that Chris Cardona had stayed rent-free at a Portomazo hotel by invitation of Jorgen Fenech's cousin, Sylvan Fenech. So obviously Cardona was a bit ruffled at the time with that story. And Muscat went on to say that Jamie Vella, the alleged hitman involved in the story as well, had showed him where Caruana Galizia lived because he has a farm nearby. So some major developments coming out from Cochu's testimony. A reminder that right now, Melvin Thelma is in court and Lovin Malta is there with a live blog, so you can follow it all on lovinmalta.com. Moving on to the next story, a bit of a sports story, right?
Yes, so it had been coming for a few days, but now it's official. Malta's national football team has been exempted from COVID-19 lockdown measures which banned organized sports in time for its game against Russia next week. So this is Malta's first game in its qualification campaign for the 2022 World Cup, and even though, let's be honest, I don't think many people expect Malta to qualify. It's still the first game, and it's, everyone starts on equal footing. And had we forfeited this game, it would have been already had we not played this game, we'd have had to forfeited, which have meant an automatic loss plus a punishment from FIFA. So in that sense, it's a good thing that it's happening. However, in terms of pure COVID restrictions, some athletes have justly made the point that if 24 and 25 footballers can train together on the pitch, then why shouldn't it also be extended to other sports which involve fewer people coming into contact with each other and yet are still banned? As in, at the end of the day, all sports, all professional sports people have tournaments to train for, have international competitions to participate in. So is it because football is more popular than the others? I think it's a fair point.
You're very, very right. Just this week, Lovin spoke to some Paralympians, some Paralympic athletes who were not being given any access to training grounds. So seeing a football team being allowed to train does definitely have some serious implications. However, when it comes to football specifically, let's be clear, football in Malta has been in the spotlight over the last few months. You've had issues with Slima Wanderers, financial issues, you've had celebrations, be it Hamroon, be it Floriana in the streets amid the pandemic. You've had investments in places like Hamroon as well. So fans are, quite out there. They really are showing some support for Maltese teams and the Maltese national football team. So it would be good to start off the tournament at least with the team doing their best as opposed to just having to forfeit from the get-go. Fans really want to attend matches. They've even put out proposals, with socially distanced plans for fans to be in stadiums again, even though they were not picked up. So there's clearly a desire to support Malta's football team. Anyway, moving on to the next story, quite an interesting story. So obviously, the Vatican this week put out a statement saying that it could never really bless same-sex couples. It could not bless the love between a same-sex couple. And a Maltese priest has now expressed his disappointment in that statement. He said, quote, "On days like these, I don't wonder why people leave the church and what keeps anyone who identifies as LGBT within the church." Father Joseph Mario Briffa said on social media. It's really, really good to see Maltese priests coming out criticizing the Vatican, which is, literally their head, their boss, as it were. So it's not an easy thing to criticize it, but it's great to see Maltese priests standing up for their LGBT brothers. A reminder that the church blesses many things. The church blesses pets, boats, houses. So the fact that they're not really blessing the love between two men or two women is quite shocking, but I am really happy to see that a priest is speaking out about this.
I disagree that it's shocking because an institution like the church, which is based on faith, can't change quickly, because then you start questioning the foundations of the faith itself, right? As in, if priests start changing God's word, then what does it mean? It wasn't God's word all along. They got it wrong. What else did they get wrong? So it can potentially open up a can of worms. But even an institution like the church, which is so resistant to change, precisely because of this reason, isn't immune to it either. It isn't immune to evolutions in human society, and yeah, in fact, this is the second Maltese priest in recent weeks to condemn the church. A reminder that recently Father Rob Gallia, a Maltese priest who is practicing in Australia, delivered a very powerful sermon in which he strongly condemned the church for covering up an array of scandals involving pedophilia in the church. So good to see priests speaking out about things that they find morally wrong, even if the institution they work for doesn't agree. And our final story of the day: could Malta win the Eurovision Song Contest? Well, according to the official odds website, we're definitely within a very good chance. So Destiny's song Shimacast was released on Monday and it instantly shot up the rankings up to second. Yesterday, it continued improving its position in the odds charts and is now only 2 points behind Switzerland, which before Malta's release was the runaway favorite to win the entire competition. And it's climbing as we speak. In some markets, we're actually still the favorite. Wow. So obviously, we shouldn't get too excited yet. A lot of things can happen, and between now and May. But it's something to look forward to as well. No, and imagine we win.
if Malta wins the Eurovision in 2021, that would be 2021 will be one of the best years ever. I mean, forget the pandemic, people will go nuts in the streets. Maltese people love the Eurovision. If Malta wins the Eurovision, it will be a godsend for the morale of the country. But just when it comes to the song itself, you know, it's already racked up nearly 500,000, sorry, 500,000 views on YouTube already. And tomorrow on Lovin Daily, Destiny herself will be appearing. So if you love Destiny, if you want to show your support, definitely tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. We'll be having a nice interview with Destiny. She might even sing a bit of her new song if we're lucky. So definitely tune in for that. I think that brings us to the end of today's episode. Both from myself and Tim, have a day full of lovin'.